right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Friday morning. When it's Friday and you hear that music, that means that we're going to talk about flying and airplanes and airports and everything associated with aviation. And that's because Brad and Josh are here from Ocala Aviation Flight School to answer those questions. The phone number is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622. The show is called Winging It. Brad Bursma and Josh Verdonk, your hosts. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Where are you? There you are.
He always said I interrupt him, so that time I tried to let him do it, and he just sat there.
Well, I got used to it, so I just let you do it.
Oh, okay. Well, good morning, Larry.
How you doing?
Well.
How you doing?
Are you familiar with this whole Viva Florida 500 thing? It's the 500th anniversary of the landing of San Juan. What's his name again? San Juan.
I saw something about it
Juan
on TV.
Ponce de Leon. There's no
There
San
you
in
go,
there, I guess. Yeah.
What?
Are you familiar with it?
No.
No?
What's going on?
Well, there's lots of events all over the state. So I'm wondering.
When?
Like right now, all year.
All year?
All year long, yeah.
So why is there nothing in Ocala?
There is. There's something happening at the airport. I mean, at the
Really?
library. At the library.
At the library? Okay.
Yeah, at the library.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah.
I guess I need to read the newspaper more.
But there are some signature events, and those are like the biggies. And then there's lots of little ones, and I think ours is a little one. Yeah.
So what's a biggie?
Like the ship, that's the big Spanish galleon that's over at Cape Canaveral.
Oh, okay.
Like the big pirate festival down in Clearwater.
Okay.
I guess is happening this weekend.
The big pirate festival?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm just curious if you guys are getting calls. Hey, can you fly me to this event or that event?
No. And no, we can't fly people to events because that's a charter operation. We don't do charter
There's nobody
operations.
over there that does that?
No.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I thought we had a charter flight out of Ocala.
No. Well, we had a charter for a short period of time, but the thing is people call and they think that if they get a personal plane to flying from one spot to another, that's going to be cheaper than doing a commercial flight. And it does not work that way. When you've got a specialized, it just doesn't work that way. It's a lot more expensive than not. People don't realize it, yes.
Well, see, because one of the events, and this is what made me think of you guys, because one of the events is in Key Largo. It's a long drive.
Yes, it is.
How long does it take you guys to get down to the Keys in an airplane?
Depending on which section, 2.5 to 3 hours.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, what's a car, like 8 hours, 9 hours?
8 to 10, depending. Yeah. We had one of our students that he was flying down. Well, he wasn't a student anymore. He rented the plane, and he and some friends flew down, and it took them about, I think they had a tailwind, so it took them 2.5 hours, and some other friends wanted to drive, and they got behind like 3 accidents, so it took them about 12 hours to get there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, because that's the nice thing is once you get up in the air, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't have any kind of traffic jams.
Yeah, no traffic jams in the air. It's not like the Jetsons.
See, that would be awesome. I mean, that brings the Keys a lot closer, but we don't have that kind of service, huh?
They've talked about doing it. A lot of people have talked about trying to start one, like having scheduled flights there. But it's having the actual amount of people that would want to do it to make it worth it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of regulations and inspections and everything to keep the airplanes in a condition where they're legal to do it. That costs a certain amount of money to maintain. In order to offset that, you got to have the customers to do it, and then obviously you want to make some sort of a profit on it. So.
Yeah. Well, and then too, you're talking about like if you want to hire a plane just to take you somewhere, you're renting the whole plane.
Right.
It costs a lot of money. If you wanted to have something start going down to the Keys, you'd have to have like regularly scheduled flights, and they wouldn't be in a giant plane or anything, but it would still be fairly expensive because
right.
you're going to talk about a 6 to maybe 10 or 12 passenger plane. They're actually fairly expensive to run because you don't have that many people to offset the cost.
It sounds like they're expensive to run. I mean, based on what you've told us.
You don't have to offset. You don't have the cost.
Right.
The amount of people to offset the costs. So you would and then plus too, if you're making scheduled flights and you got one person on there, you're losing a whole lot of money.
It's a mystery even that we can have airlines constantly flying.
Well, because they have a lot of people on them.
Yeah, the airliners are able to a point, to a certain degree, offset their costs.
Yes.
Where you've got all these people paying to get their little seat on this airplane. That cost in an ideal situation, that would allow the airplane to make money, or allow the airline to make money, and also pay for all the costs of operating that aircraft.
Yeah, but if I don't think I've ever been into a plane that maybe only had 2 or 3 seats empty. Everything else was full. Well, you figure if you're on a charter flight and you only have 6 seats, and you have 2 people in them and only 4 empty, well, you've just lost a whole lot of money.
Yeah, right.
And if the airplane's, $800 an hour to run, an hour flight, you end up, and either you each of them pay $400.
Well, that would only get them there. You still got the plane back.
Yeah, and you got to get the airplane back, and most places are more than an hour flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the rules that you hear about regarding the space center and in that flight space, do they come this far? Like when they say we're launching a rocket, no, it doesn't reach this far.
Now, the restricted airspace, a restricted airspace is basically an airspace that sometimes you can go into it, sometimes you can't. It's restricted, all right, based on what they're doing in there. And you need to get permission before you enter restricted airspace, or at least get a affirmation that they're not currently active, all right? The restricted airspace for NASA starts around NASA and goes out over the Atlantic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It doesn't even come this way?
It doesn't come this way.
Oh, wow. What about the bombing range in the forest? Is that off limits? Are you not allowed to fly there?
That's another restricted area. When they're doing exercises out there, we're not allowed to fly in there. But when they're not using it, you can fly through it.
Okay. We do have a phone call. Everybody's invited to call. The number is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622 WOCA. Good morning. You're on the air with Brad and Josh.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Morning.
Say, it looks like the towers are going to stay put, according to what I've been reading and hearing, huh?
Well, they're saying, we've heard every different kind of rumor. They extended it to June 15th, and then we heard something with PASS saying that they're not going to close them down now.
Yeah, that's what the latest I heard.
That's the latest I heard also. Every time it changes, I just say, okay, and then we kind of go from there.
Yeah.
See, the guys that work up there, or person, is that a full-time position, or how does that work?
There's actually 6 air traffic controllers that work in our tower.
Not at one time.
Not at one time. No, we have. There's a tower manager who kind of does part-time air traffic control. But at any one time, there are 2 people up in the top there.
Okay.
One person handles ground control, and then one person handles local control, which would be the runways and the airspace around it. So there's always 2 people.
Yeah.
And I think they do 2 shifts per day.
Okay.
A morning shift and an afternoon shift. So you're talking about at least 4 people per day.
Yeah.
Plus the tower manager. So usually 5 people per day will be in that tower.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire day.
Yeah, that must be a federal job, right?
The air traffic control tower that we have here is actually a contracted tower. So they're not FAA, but they're kind of subsidized by the FAA.
Yeah. Do you know what the requirements are to get a job like that? I mean, do you have to be like a pilot or
You don't have to be a pilot. Yeah, they actually have courses at colleges. They actually have certain schools that are for air traffic controllers, and that you start by learning all the terminology, and eventually you get into a air traffic control simulator. Yeah. Where they have simulated airplanes coming in and all kinds of stuff. So.
Yeah, very good. Well, it's good to hear that they're going to leave them alone anyways. I always kind of felt that would happen because the safety factor involved and everything else. It's a good thing. It looks like it's going to turn out for the good.
It would be, yes.
Yeah, we hope so.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, bye now.
Bye. Dang, now, but I forgot what I was going to say.
Can't say that on the radio.
It's interesting that you in your reply to him, you said you've heard a lot of rumors. So it's funny how something like the tower is actually generating rumors.
Yes, it is kind of odd.
I mean, they were going to close it August 20. April 21st, and then they got within a week of that, and they said, okay, we're not going to close it until June, because of all the lawsuits. And then the Senate and the House passed a law that says that the FAA can move money around within their budget. So everyone's like, oh, so they're not going to close them now, but we don't know.
We don't know.
We'll just carry on.
It's interesting how the community's very interested in it too. I mean, considering that most of us don't take flights out of there.
Yeah, it is actually kind of surprising to me also.
Yeah. I didn't know that many people knew that there was an airport here. I've had people say, "So where do you work?" "Oh, I work at the airport." At the Orlando airport? Like, no, the Ocala airport.
Oh, really?
We have an airport here in Ocala? Yeah, a little bit.
I won a bet once about an airport in Denellen. I mentioned the Denellen airport. This is no Denellen airport. Yeah. I said, I bet you a 2-liter bottle of soda there is.
That's all?
I never got it, by the way. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You should have gotten it.
Yeah, I would have.
Because there is a Denellen airport.
Well, the Marion County airport.
It is in
It's in Denellen, yes.
Yeah.
It's
I've
referred
had
to
people
as
say they lived here
Airport.
15 years and didn't know there was an airport. Which I guess, if you live like on this side of town where the radio station is, you don't see the planes. You don't really notice. They tend to know, that there's Orlando, but they won't know that there's an Ocala one. So yes, there is no Ocala airport.
Yeah, maybe the fact that there's no flights for the average person is maybe that's why.
That could be, yeah. Exactly. Yes, I don't know.
But the majority of airports in the United States don't have airline service.
I would imagine. Yeah, that's probably a good point.
Oh, yeah, there's tons. There's hundreds of thousands of airports in the United States that don't have airline service.
How many?
Hundreds of thousands or not?
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands. I don't think there's 100,000 airports.
I think there are. Okay, that might have been a little bit over exaggeration, but the majority
There you go.
don't have airline service.
Okay.
Is the
80%.
well, when you hear about like an air ranch, like the Leeward Air Ranch, or like the place Travolta lives, is that considered an airport or no?
They're
Yes, it
private
is
airport.
a private airport.
Oh, okay. So in Marion
Or
County,
a private airstrip.
so we have at least 4 airports in Marion County.
No,
much
more.
More than
7
4.
or 8.
No,
Really?
there's more than that.
Well, I'm thinking not in Marion, because Marion County is pretty big.
Yeah.
Now there's an airstrip on Shady Road.
Yep.
That's Shady Air Park.
Shady Air Park. You've
Wow.
there's one 5 miles south of Ocala Airport. Not 5, 10 miles south of Ocala
What's
Airport.
that one?
I don't know what it's called. I just see the runways.
You got the Mick.
Isn't that the Flying Dutchman?
You got the Flying Dutchman, but
Oh, I've seen that sign.
yeah, you got the Flying Dutchman. You got Shady Air Park. You got Jambalaya. You got Leeward. You've got one of them. I cannot remember the guy's name for the life of me. He was one of our students, and he lived on an airstrip, and it was
There's another one down in Denellen area.
yeah. So there's quite a few. Yeah.
There's a lot of airstrips.
Now the fact that large plane lands at Jambalaya, does that mean that airstrip is actually bigger than the Ocala Airport?
No. Nope.
So how come we can't have the big planes there? I don't
We
understand.
can.
They
His plane
are,
isn't is any bigger than the ones that fly into here.
Yeah.
So it's about the money. It's not about the size of the strip. The airstrip.
About the
No. Well,
yes,
okay.
it's about the money.
Well,
because
not just that, but no, the plane that he flies, you can land into Ocala. There's bigger planes that fly into Ocala, like the horse planes.
You never knew there was a door back there, did you?
There was a door there. No, that freaked me out.
yeah,
We've got the horse planes are quite large and they fly in and out.
Airliners are capable of landing at Ocala. The reason that we don't have airline service is there's not enough. Once again, going back to the same thing, there's not enough people
So it's the money.
flying out to make it worthwhile to put in a terminal and to employ security and airport security, and you'd have to beef up you'd probably have to reinforce parts of the runway. You need to have certain kind of fire trucks and equipment on the airport at all times, and you have to employ people to do that. It's not just bring passenger jets in and out. An entire infrastructure needs to exist in order to accommodate
Which
that.
used to exist in Ocala, off of 200.
Yes,
Back once upon a time.
but
But there wasn't as many requirements.
yeah, the requirements have changed.
I mean, when I
so
first
much.
started working at the flight school 9 years ago, you could walk through any gate you wanted to and go into the airport. There was no requirements for any of that. Now
Wow.
it's you have to have a special badge
Big
and
differences,
everything is
huh?
locked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow,
you can't.
nice.
The rules have changed a lot on what you can do and what you can't do. So, and the other thing too is with the airlines is there's a certain weight that the runways can take, and they have to make them a lot thicker. So if you go above, I think the 737 is about the max.
No, we had a 757 in here. They had a 747 at one point.
Well, the 737 wasn't fully loaded, right?
No, it wasn't. No.
That's a fully loaded
Yeah,
737 is about the max weight that our airport runway could take. So you'd have to, also beef that up a lot too.
Yeah.
But no, it's not just the money of what they have to do at the airport. I mean, if you've got one person who wants to fly out of Ocala a day somewhere else, I mean, there's not that many people that are wanting, and plus because you've got Gainesville that's so close. If there wasn't one in Gainesville, you may have there may be a possibility. There's just not that much need for it.
And
I mean, and within an hour and a half, you've got 4 airports that can take you anywhere you want to go.
And not only that, but I mean, if you consider Gainesville has airline service, they don't have big jets going in. Actually, their runway is shorter than their long runway is shorter than our runway.
Really?
Yep.
See, you remember that
because they use smaller airplanes. They're using little 50 passenger, 40 passenger, almost like business jet size airplanes that fly in and out of Ocala all the time for business.
I didn't know that.
But
I have flown out of Gainesville.
Yeah, it wasn't a big airplane, though, was it?
I don't remember. I feel like it was in the day of Eastern Airlines, so that's way back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In fact, in those days, just to let you know, Orlando Airport was really not any bigger than Gainesville. It was about the same thing.
Yep.
Back in those days.
Back in the olden days?
Back in the old days. And both of them were not that much bigger than Ocala is now, as far as the airport.
Exactly. They weren't. I mean, when I first flew, when I was growing up, and we had Ontario Airport, or Ontario, California. I mean, I remember going and, like, picking my grandparents up. There was no terminal. I mean, they walked down the stairs like you see in all the movies. And you literally, like, you parked the car.
They had cars back then?
They had cars back then. You parked the car and you walked to the plane.
Must be nice to be the youngest man in the room, huh?
Yeah. I mean, there was, and it was small. I mean, there was, like you said, it was smaller than Ocala. And the baggage claim was basically, when you parked the car, you walked past the baggage claim to the plane.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was like one belt.
Yeah.
They just went outside to the plane and came back in. That was it. I mean, it was so basic.
That it was even a belt.
Yeah, well, I know.
Growing up,
they had rubber back then.
Yeah, growing up in Papua New Guinea, there's one of the terminal there. You basically get off the airplane, all right? You walk down the stairs, you walk across the tarmac, and there's a counter, basically, and the baggage guy drives his forklift with the baggage on it. You know, they have like a pallet where they throw all the baggage on with like a fence on the side or something. He pulls it out and he puts it on, throws everything on the counter, and you sit there and wait at the counter and get your bags.
Yeah. So. But yeah, everything can grow. I mean, Ocala could grow and be, you know, a big airport one day.
But in order for it to grow, you need to have the necessity, which doesn't exist in Ocala because you have all these other airports: Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Sanford, you know, Allegiant, and those
Orlando Executive. I mean, there's so many airports.
There's no airline service out of Orlando Executive.
It's a big airport.
Well, yeah, but I mean Gainesville. If you're really wanting to try and save money, you know, Daytona Beach. Southwest flies out of Daytona Beach. Southwest flies out of Fort Myers, Tampa, Naples. No, not Naples. Sorry.
No.
But yeah, there's enough, especially in Florida. There's enough airports that have airline service to the point where, you know, I think the density of airports that have airline service is very high in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I could see eventually if you had the people that wanted to go down to the Keys and that kind of thing, you maybe have a very small charter type thing, but to have a regular scheduled service would just
But those charters exist out of, I know there's one out of Naples, out of
do they have one out of Gainesville?
New Smyrna. I think there's a charter service in Gainesville.
No, but they don't have regular service down to the Keys.
They don't have regular service, but
so that would be a marketable thing.
But you could charter an airplane out of Gainesville to the Keys fairly easily.
But if you had a regular schedule, it'd be cheaper.
Well, the problem with with the regular schedule though, they have even more than a air taxi or charter operation.
That's true. Yeah.
You know that then you get into where they're considered an air carrier and an airline. And then the requirements for the airports go up as well. So you can even probably do an air carrier, and I don't know this for sure, but I don't think you could do a air carrier considered a 121 operation out of Ocala. I'm not sure. Can you?
Yeah. Yes, you can.
Okay.
I didn't know. You have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, I'll call back real quick here. As we're speaking right now, my wife is probably at the Gainesville airport taking a flight to Vegas, but they're going to Charlotte, I believe.
Vegas.
But basically speaking, though, they're mostly 737 and what they call a 717 aircraft. I think that's the one that replaced the DC-9s. They're a little on the smaller side, but they're nice. They're I mean, they hold 100 people or more. You know, I've flown them many times, but it's convenient to fly out of Gainesville. The only thing that's bad is the fact that you're never going to get a direct flight anywhere. You're going to have to either go to Atlanta or Charlotte or you name it, you know. But for convenience, rather than going to Orlando or Tampa and hitting the traffic and everything else, it's nicer that way, you know. And it's only 45 miles up the road.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and that's another good point. You know, for the smaller airports, you're never going to have direct flights because what they do is the airlines go from like Gainesville to Atlanta. Delta flies Gainesville to Atlanta because Atlanta is their hub, and then from there you can get pretty much anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
Well, the positive things to like Orlando is you can get a direct flight from Orlando to Chicago.
Oh yes, anywhere. Yeah.
So that makes it, depends on where you're going. Yeah. Depends on the convenience, because it's more convenient to drive an hour and a half to Orlando and get a direct flight to Chicago than drive an hour to Gainesville to get a flight to Atlanta and then have to sit in the Atlanta airport and then,
Yeah, I know ourselves, we're out of the Milwaukee area, and we always get direct flights either out of Tampa or Orlando rather than going out of Gainesville, which would be easier because it's a shorter drive, but then you're going to go to Atlanta, and you know what Atlanta's like. That's kind of bad. It's like O'Hara. You just want to stay away from those kind of airports, especially in the wintertime when you got troubles with weather all over the place,
Exactly.
But it's nice. It's handy to have an airport like Gainesville that close by if you don't mind, going to another airport, and changing planes or whatever they do, or picking up some people, But it's convenient. It's nice. So I don't think Ocala will ever get to that point in our lifetime, where it's going to have air service like that. But it certainly is a nice alternative rather than going to Orlando or Tampa if you don't want to fool around down that way, and if you're not really in a hurry,
Yeah. Yep. And I think another important thing to remember about the Gainesville airport is they have the necessity there because they've got UF there. I mean, there's tons of parents that say, I'm going to have my college student fly right into UF where they can be picked up by UF.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of having them go to Orlando or Jacksonville where they have to figure out a way to get them to Gainesville and everything like that. So.
Yeah. I've had the chance to fly in and out of there too for several times, and at certain times of the year, let me tell you, that's a busy little airport up there. With the college kids going in and out and the folks and everything else, it's pretty busy. Kind of nice to see that, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably going to get busy here in the next couple of weeks as the semester finishes up as well.
Oh yeah. And I guess neighbor was telling me that they got plans of making a longer runway and extending the runways or adding one or something, and a little more terminal expansion. So it's a growing process up there.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well,
okay.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Yeah, bye now.
By the way, I think the need that we had in Ocala when we did have that airport was not Ocala. It was external, because you had all these marketers flying people into the area to sell them the land.
Wow. Yep.
So that's who was using that old airport.
You're talking a while ago.
You're talking like...
No, I'm not saying it'd be funny, but I mean, it was...
it was a long time.
Because I did hear a lot of stories about that, where they were literally, flying people into Ocala and just selling the heck out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't there an airport or an airstrip over in Silver Springs there at that time?
Yes.
Exactly. And so that's what I heard, is they were actually flying them straight into Silver Springs, and that's like where they were showing them. It's like, this is where you're going to buy, and made it like this amazing thing. That's why if you go out there, there's actually the old building that kind of looks like a terminal, and it's got the little hotel out there that's all closed down now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, where Target is now on 200 used to be in that whole area.
Well, that was the airport.
That was the other one.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning. You're on the air with Josh and Brad.
Yeah. And some of those, I guess the bus hangars that are still over in that neighborhood are the original hangars from the original Taylor Field. Yep. And the street that goes directly across from the Dairy Queen off the boulevard is the old runway. And they also had a little bit of a east-west runway.
Oh, really?
But I wanted to call earlier when you were talking about charters and stuff, but somebody was on the phone and I couldn't. And I understand exactly what you're going through, because we had the only legal charter service in Ocala for several years called Venture Aloft, and we had the same problems. It was a 300-mile trip to Miami. If somebody was going down and getting dropped off, they had to pay for the fuel going down as well as coming back.
Exactly.
And you get a lot of complaints with, I just wanted to fly in the plane, I didn't want to buy the plane.
Yeah.
So we had that struggle, and then we got kind of knocked out with bootleg charter, these up-and-coming pilots that had the plane and they could take you. And the FAA says that you have to share expenses, but it doesn't say how you share it, what the proportion is. So there was a lot of people that were going cheap for flight time and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Ocala, the office we had originally was where Allegheny was. It was built, I believe, that building was built for Delta. But, in fact, I've got the original metal detector. It's still got the same battery in it and still works. It's
wow.
Pass-through metal detector. We had their office and their desk, and we had the charter and flight school there for several years until very early 90s when my partner was killed in a car wreck, and but it was folding anyway. And then 9/11 didn't help a few years after that, and then of course the gas prices have gone up. when flying, going commercially, what people don't realize is that, that they're upset that we don't have, a major airport, but it's really not up to the town to decide. I mean, it's not up to the airlines so much as it is up to the town. If the town isn't producing enough people to, that's why Delta and Allegheny pulled out. And when I fly, I do fly out of Gainesville because it's usually not that much more expensive, and you can leave your car or have someone pick you up in the middle of the night a lot easier. But there are hubs. You can't get there from here. You got to use Atlanta, Miami. I forgot what the next one up is, but so all these commuter small things they've got to go to those hubs first, and then you get out to going to where you want to go from there.
Yep.
But as far as charter goes, you have my sympathies because I know that the thing in aviation, the biggest motto there we use is that how to make $1 million in aviation is start with $2 million.
Yeah.
It's just, But the thing about aviation, you notice, is they don't put ethanol in that fuel because they know that you can't pull off on the side of the road and, take engine failure. I mean, they know that it's ruining the car. So anyway,
absolutely.
Doing a good job. Have a good time. And now that this tower is closed, I figure it's I don't know. I figure it's kind of temporary. I picture
it's not closed, actually.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I'd heard that, too. They're kind of trying to... Because they need a tower there. That place is an accident waiting to happen. Too many people that are doing, on a 20-mile final coming in and cutting off people, in the IFR and stuff like that. And that was the other thing with the charter, is unless you have weather reporting right on the field, flight service station, you can't come in IFR in a charter.
Exactly.
And so we were actually going through, and we had our little weather detecting stuff outside there, and I was getting ready to take the exam so that I could be an actual weather observer. But it just started, things were just going downhill financially and everything. But so anyway,
well, thank you.
Good luck, and that's what we said. I said, well, I'll go around and try to drum up business. And my partner said, that's the young people. They come in, they're idealistic, they have all this great hopes and everything, and then you get older and you realize this isn't going anywhere. But in between, you get a lot of experience and you meet a lot of friends and you have a lot of fun. So have at it.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Josh is over. Oh, there he is. Okay, I thought you already left the building. All right, do you want to give your phone number?
Phone number is 352-861-7484. You can check us out at ocalaaviation.com or at ocalaaviation@yahoo.com.
Don't forget about Discovery Flights and the scholarship.
Exactly. Don't forget.
Remember those two things. All right,
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Good show as always. We'll take a little break and be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala. The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. Wear it. Florida, and clouds will mix with sun today. We'll see some showers and thunderstorms around, the high of 73 to 80 degrees. Partly cloudy tonight, and still some showers and a rumble of thunder.